It was supposed to be a fun, carefree day, a trip to the local amusement park, filled with laughter, cotton candy, and the sound of roller coasters zipping by. But when Millie Bobby Brown, a beloved TV star, found herself at the center of a public meltdown, it all took a turn for the worse. She wasn't in the middle of a red carpet event, and this wasn't some dramatic scene from one of her hit shows. No, it was something much stranger. Millie was standing in line at a popular amusement park, and a simple argument over a place in line would spark an online firestorm. What happened next shocked everyone, and the aftermath left the world questioning how the smallest of interactions could spiral out of control. It was a hot Saturday afternoon, the kind of day that demanded a chilled drink in your hand and a good place to people watch. The amusement park was packed with families scattered throughout the grounds, eagerly awaiting their turn to hop onto rides that twisted and turned high above. Children's laughter echoed from all sides as the scent of freshly popped popcorn filled the air. The sun beat down relentlessly, and the air smelled faintly of sunscreen and carnival food. In the midst of the chaos stood Millie Bobby Brown, one of the most recognizable faces from her popular sitcom. Despite her fame, she kept a low profile, wearing sunglasses and a simple hoodie to blend in. She was with a group of close friends, chatting and laughing as they moved toward the entrance of the Ferris wheel. The line was long, but it didn't bother her. She was used to waiting, especially after years of being a public figure. For a moment, it felt like any other day, just another regular person at an amusement park. But as Millie's group waited, an exchange took place that no one could have predicted. Two teenage girls, clearly excited to be at the park, squeezed in behind Millie and her friends. They were giggling loudly, exchanging gossip, and occasionally glancing at Millie as if they couldn't believe their luck at being so close to a celebrity. Millie smiled politely, offering a small nod, but kept her attention on the ride. She wasn't here for autographs or selfies. But the girls, who were inching closer to the front of the line, saw an opportunity. Without asking or acknowledging the others, one of the girls tried to step ahead. It was subtle, almost like a casual nudge, but it didn't go unnoticed. Millie, feeling the sudden pressure of someone standing way too close, glanced back. "Excuse me," she said, raising an eyebrow. "The line starts back there." The girl paused, an awkward silence hanging in the air. She looked over at her friend, then back at Millie, clearly unbothered by the request. "I don't see a problem," she said, shrugging. "We're just trying to get on the ride. It's not that big of a deal." Millie's eyes narrowed. This wasn't her first brush with someone trying to skip ahead in line, but something about the girl's attitude rubbed her the wrong way. "Actually, it is a big deal," Millie responded firmly, her voice carrying an edge. "Everyone's been waiting their turn." A tense silence followed. The line around them had slowed, and the people in the surrounding area were starting to look over, sensing the unease. The girl, who had initially seemed confident, began to falter. "It's just one spot," she muttered, but her voice was shaking now, as if she were unsure of how to proceed. Millie crossed her arms and stared at her. "It's not just one spot. It's about respect. You don't just push your way to the front because you think you can." The second girl, who had remained quiet up to this point, suddenly spoke up. "Are you serious?" she snapped, her voice loud enough for others to hear. "Do you really think just because you're famous, you can tell people what to do? You're not even that important." A murmur rippled through the crowd as more people began to take notice. Millie's friends exchanged uneasy glances, but Millie stood her ground. "I'm not here to argue with you, but you're not going to just push in front of everyone," she replied, her voice calm but firm. "This is about fairness." But the confrontation didn't end there. The second girl, clearly not willing to back down, raised her voice. "Maybe you need to stop acting like you're so much better than everyone else. Just because you're some overpaid actress doesn't mean you get to treat regular people like garbage." Her words cut through the air like a blade, and the shock of the statement left the crowd in stunned silence. Millie's face flushed with anger. Her smile, once calm and approachable, vanished. The situation had escalated quickly, and now the attention was fully on her. "You have no idea what you're talking about," Millie shot back, her tone sharper than before. "I'm just asking for respect. No one's above anyone else in line." But the damage had already been done. The young woman's outburst had triggered a chain reaction. People around them began to whisper, some shaking their heads, while others pulled out their phones to record the confrontation. The entire scene had become a spectacle. As Millie stood there, her hands trembling slightly from the adrenaline, a voice from the crowd spoke up. "Just let it go, lady," a middle-aged man said, rolling his eyes. "This whole thing isn't worth it." That comment only fueled the fire. "You think this isn't worth it?" Millie retorted, her voice rising again. "How about you stop defending people who think they can do whatever they want?" The situation was spiraling out of control. Millie had become the center of attention, but it wasn't the kind of attention she wanted. The amusement park, usually filled with laughter and fun, now seemed tense and uncomfortable. Even the nearby ride operators were watching, unsure whether to intervene. Suddenly, the group of girls turned to leave, muttering insults under their breath. "I hope you enjoy your fame," one of them hissed, her words dripping with bitterness. Millie, still simmering with anger, watched them walk away. Her heart was racing, but she felt the sting of the public moment. This wasn't how she had envisioned spending her Saturday afternoon. As the crowd slowly dispersed, Millie's friends pulled her aside, trying to calm her down. "Don't let it get to you," one of them said, giving her a reassuring hug. "They're just kids. They don't know any better." But Millie couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't just the girls, there was something else at play. The way people had reacted, how quickly it all went viral, it left her feeling exposed, vulnerable. In that instant, she realized just how quickly things could spiral out of control when you're in the public eye. By the time Millie left the park that evening, the confrontation had already hit the internet. Social media was ablaze with heated debates. Some people supported her, calling out the young girls for being disrespectful, while others lambasted Millie for overreacting. Headlines flashed across the screen, some even questioning whether her behavior was a sign of a diva complex. The whole thing had turned into a circus, with people dissecting every word, every gesture, and every look. Millie couldn't avoid the constant notifications that flooded her phone. Her social media pages were filled with comments from both sides of the argument. Some messages were supportive, telling her she had every right to stand up for herself. Others, however, were less kind, calling her entitled and accusing her of making a scene just for attention. Late that night, as she scrolled through the comments, Millie began to feel the weight of the situation. It wasn't just the argument itself, it was the way the world had turned it into something far bigger than it ever should have been. What started as a simple disagreement had spiraled into an online war. She paused for a moment, looking at the screen. In the quiet of her apartment, far removed from the chaos of the amusement park, she thought about what had really happened. She wasn't just arguing over a place in line. She was arguing over respect. But did anyone see it that way? Probably not. Everyone had their own opinion, and social media had become a battleground for those opinions. As the night wore on, Millie made a decision. She wasn't going to let the internet define her. The next morning, she issued a brief statement on her social media accounts, explaining that she simply wanted to be treated like anyone else, and that the situation had gotten out of hand. She apologized for losing her cool, but stood by her belief that respect was essential. Her followers were quick to respond. Some understood, while others still criticized her. But as the days passed, the controversy began to die down. The viral moment faded into the background, as these things always do. But for Millie, it had been a stark reminder of just how quickly a seemingly small moment could explode in the public eye. The experience left her with a new understanding of the celebrity world. It wasn't all glamour and red carpets. Sometimes it was about navigating the chaos, both online and offline, and finding a way to stay grounded amidst the noise. And sometimes all it took was one small incident to remind you that fame wasn't always what it seemed.